Dang it, Bob.
Well, that is right. So the Pixar chief, Pete Docter, is basically just blaming Disney for everything, playing scapegoat game.
Well,
And
it's
that is,
not wrong.
he's not wrong. Well, he is and he isn't. So they have their own fault to play in all of this as well. Remember, they ousted John Lasseter.
Well, that was Disney. That was Disney. That was
But it
Iger's
was still people
choice.
within. But it was still people within Pixar, right? They
Yeah,
were
but it
still there.
wasn't the type of people that were thinking. It wasn't like people like Pete Docter.
Mm.
It was these
No,
young women who were trying to oust him because he was an old white dude who told them what to do. That's why
yeah,
they didn't like him.
yeah. But so they basically said that the animation company has drifted too far from its storytelling roots. It was in an interview with the New York Times. Brooke Barnes described a Zoom interview he had with Doctor that primarily revolved around the failure of Elemental. So, for those that don't know, Elemental was Pixar's most recent film. It grossed 29.6 million in its opening weekend. Domestically, it went on to do 154.4 million. And then it amazingly did $333.7 million internationally, which is great for a total of 488.1 million, but that's not good because it had an estimated production budget of $200 million. So that's not good. That's quite a big failure, even though they're trying to frame it as a huge positive. So that's not good at all. At all. That's a big, big failure. So, according to Barnes, Doctor placed the blame on Walt Disney executives who moved Pixar films from theatrical releases to Disney Plus. Barnes detailed, for a start, Doctor said, this is Doctor saying this, for a start, Disney had undercut Pixar as a big screen force by using its films to build the Disney Plus streaming service. So he pointed out Soul, Turning Red, Luca, all been released on Disney Plus instead of theatre. So Doctor claims that this change shifted the way viewers look at Pixar films because, yeah, it does. It devalues the product, which is what I've been saying for ages. Streaming is never the future. It was never going to be, even though everyone thought it was. There has been an overall shift in viewing habits as a result of the pandemic, but it's also specific to Disney Plus. We've told people, hey, all of this is going to be available to you on Disney Plus. And also, remember, ladies and gents, they are producing shockingly bad visual effects. I mean, this looks like fucking crap. This genuinely looks like crap. So this is Pixar's fault, something looking like crap. So they said, although not saying so directly, Mr. Doctor also indicated that Pixar had perhaps drifted too far from its storytelling roots. I always felt that Elemental would speak to a lot of people, and I'm so happy it has, but we have also taken another look at the projects we're working on now. What are the kinds of films we want to be making? I really think I want to double down on what allowed us to speak to audiences to begin with. And Doctor's made similar comments before. So he said, we made Soul for the big screen. We looked at every frame. There's so much detail, gorgeous imagery and work that was done that you can't quite appreciate on a smaller screen. This is true. However, there was a pandemic going on. On one hand, we were so thankful that there was Disney Plus so that we could release the film and people could see it. Otherwise, it would just sit on a shelf for a year and a half. In the long run, there's been a bit of a mixed blessing because we've trained audiences that these films will be available for you on Disney Plus, and it's more expensive for a family of four to go to a theatre when they know they can wait and it'll come out on the platform. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, a lot of it is about having to get back straight down to brass taxes of storytelling. What do we think about this? Because I think a lot of people, they shift the blame from Pixar to Disney, but Pixar is still quite a large part of this blame here. They spend $200+ million on a product, and it looks like absolute crap. They haven't updated their CGI sort of animation stuff for a very long time. It always looks like garbage. They overspend, and the stories have been shit, and there's still a rot at its core within Pixar as well. So, although I think Disney's to blame, I do think they're both to blame. But thoughts? I know, Tom, you probably got some spicy comments on this, mate.
Well, the talent went out the door with John Lasseter. I mean, we're both in agreement there. I think, if anything, and yes, it was stupid idiots inside Pixar that were pushing to have him ousted, and Bob bowed to their wishes because of the whole Me Too movement, even though there was zero proof that he had done anything wrong, and they were clearly making shit up on the guy. And guess what? Pixar has suffered. Disney Animation has suffered. At the end of the day, the big person to blame is Bob. Bob's the one who could have stopped the whole thing.
Yeah. And no, I mean, and Anna's right in the chat, and Tom's right here, and it's this thing I've been saying now for years. I've never heard of a guy getting fired because he liked to hug people. I mean, that's basically what it came down to. He hugged somebody too long. They didn't talk to him about it directly, and I don't want to get into it all. But it ultimately, not only did Lasseter go out the door, but all of the ideas and all of the proper direction went out the door because he really understood.
People went with him too, right?
There are people that used to be with Disney or Pixar that are now with him over at Skydance. Yeah, and you know what? They're going to have the freedom to tell stories the way you're supposed to tell stories. He is a brilliant mind. He would go in and cancel projects, and Tom and I have talked about this before. He would go in and cancel whatever the work that had been done on a project, even if it was 60, 70% done. He'd say, you know what? This is not working. We need to go back and revisit this. You know, maybe they'll salvage some of whatever it was, but he would not let something bad go out the door. And again, I mean, you know, you suffer when you lean too much into these, you know, social movements because it destroys the culture that makes things work. So yeah, blaming Disney, good choice. Except Pete, you don't make great stuff either, dude. Just so you know. I mean, I think I'd probably tell him that in person. Say, man, the Elemental was not as good as you think, dude.
That's trash. Jesus. And then you also had that. What was the other one that they released? New Worlds or something like that?
Oh no, that was Walt Disney Animation Studios. That was Strange World.
Basically the same thing. That was the same animation.
Well, okay, so Tom, remind me the name of the guy that retired. That kind of took half of their creativity out the door with him. Lasseter's partner in crime. Because I always forget his name. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just can't remember the guy's name. But anyway,
the one guy that died, but then I don't remember anybody who.
There were basically two, and the two guys were really what made things happen. And then Disney stretched Lasseter thin and then kicked him out. They had him doing both.
Was
Pixar,
it Catamol or saying in the chat?
Catmull.
I think it's Jack Mehoff. I think
Mehoff. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, and Ed Catmull. Yeah, you guys both named two brilliant names. But anyway, you have these two. Anyway, regardless, they basically put Lasseter in charge over Walt Disney Studios Animation and over Pixar, and that's when they got incredibly strained, and the storytelling for both kind of suffered a bit, and that's why they also kind of look the same now. So this was a terrible decision making process, and you know, that's it. So yes, Disney's run it into the ground, but it always comes down to leadership. And the fact that you are essentially changing the culture that made something successful, which is why Star Wars sucks balls now. It's why Marvel sucks balls now. It's why Pixar sucks balls now.
It's gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, well, there you have it, guys. There you have it. Let's.